What's going on? It's SFT. We'll talk about the Chargers, but mainly Justin Herbert and what the season has looked like and the discourse around him coming off that really poor Chargers loss last week to Houston. But before we get into this video, please subscribe. I'd really appreciate it. And like the video. And my bad for the audio being poor. They finished the season off 11-6. Defense is ranked 11th. This is the third highest paid defense. They still have big contracts in Bosa, big contracts in Khalil Mack, and a big contract for Derwin James that they signed maybe 2 years ago. And they're the 7th ranked pass defense, a huge improvement from what they were last year and the year before, getting absolutely torched game in, game out. 14th ranked run defense. They're still better than they were last year. It's still an improvement in a way compared to last year's 27th ranked overall defense, right? It was really poor last year, and you can only imagine how poor their pass defense was. Probably one of the worst in the league. Outside of that, let's get into this offense, man. 20th ranked this year, not good at all. 19th ranked in pass offense, not good at all. 17th ranked in run offense. Not that good of a year, underwhelming overall. This is due to a multitude of different things. You lost Keenan Allen last year and Mike Williams, so you cut back on those explosive plays that really helped your team, and that elite veteran leadership that was essential for that wide receiver group and really helped grow Justin Herbert into being a quality quarterback, man. He's a quality quarterback. But one of the biggest issues they've had this year, right, was beating on good teams. Outside of maybe a lucky win, in my opinion, to the Bengals, right, in terms of the kicker missing 2 big field goals and beating up on the Broncos, which they're a far superior team to, in my opinion. They've lost to the really good teams that they could have showed they're better than. Losing to the Ravens, losing to the Chiefs twice, losing to the Steelers, losing to the Buccaneers 40-17. Essential games for them to win and to prove to their team they're ready to take that next step, but they weren't able to. And if you look at all these games, poor offense. And we're going to get to this poor offense, but we're going to start off with Justin Herbert. But we're going to get to this next section talking about Justin Herbert. This year, he's thrown for about 3,870 yards, 7.7 yards average, 27 touchdowns, 3 interceptions, lowest interceptions, 101.7 rating, overall QBR of 65. This has been a solid year for him. Not the best year. Was it a step back from last year? I don't know. He only played 13 games last year, but his statistical accomplishments weren't that far, and he played 4 more games this year. So you would say overall this is a down year in terms of what's expected from him in this new offense, the new role he's expected to carry, right? In terms of taking that big step up for his receivers to make up for the lack of experience, the lack of quality, to step up into that next level of a quarterback. He hasn't been able to this year, but we got to talk about Todd Monken before getting into Justin Herbert, right? Todd Monken just recently introduced this year to this LA Chargers offense, and he hasn't had the best year. Underwhelming offense, 20th ranked, as I said earlier, and you expect him to really bolster up this run offense, but with the injuries that consistently happen to his running backs because they get beat up a lot, this offense has not looked close to as good as he's wanted to look. And a large portion of this falls under him. I saw a similar thing with the Ravens. The Ravens came out maybe 2 years ago, that last year that they had, with a poor offense, really relying on Lamar Jackson's elite playmaking. But outside of that, that pass offense never flourished like it was supposed to. You brought in some really good wide receivers like Hollywood Brown in the first round pick, did not pan out properly. Yes, I can give you a pass on some of your other first round receivers because some of them tore their ACLs. Your running back tore their ACL. I'll give you a pass for that, but just underwhelming offense overall, not really able to take that next step, and they made a great decision moving on and getting their new offensive coordinator who's looked very good in this current role. And with the way this offense has looked with the Chargers, run heavy on offense, quite plain. It's not looked good. This is not a good look for him. Receivers not really getting open outside of Ladd McConkey. Number 1, Quentin Johnson has been questionable, as he's always been, right? But I have not been impressed at all with his play calling, his ability to call games, run games, and this defense has had to step up a lot for how poor this offense has been. Like, don't get it messed up. This offense has struggled a lot of times to score more than 20 points in a game against the Chiefs, for example, or against like the Steelers, going up against them and just not putting in great games. If you look at a game like the Falcons, man, they were struggling they weren't doing good offensively, but they got 4 huge interceptions. You look at the Broncos, beating up on a poor Broncos offense, giving Bo Nix hell like they're supposed to be. Really impressive. But I want to see more from his play calling, and I didn't get to see more from his play calling this year. Really underwhelming. They should question his role next year. Let's not get it messed up here. He did not do a good enough job of play calling this year. And to finish off with Todd Monken, this year has been the best year passing for Lamar Jackson. You could never have done that or replicated that the last 2 years you've had with him. You can say, yes, we never had Derrick Henry, but you've had some quality running backs, right? You got injured, yes, but you've never reached this level and the ceiling that is expected of you. You've never reached this level. You've never reached this level of play calling. And you're probably going to do the exact same thing with the Chargers. But I really want to get into the main guy, Justin freaking Herbert, man. Justin Herbert. I'm going to start off with my opinion of him, which shapes this video. Justin Herbert to me is a solid quarterback, 10 through 13 level quarterback. He's never been a guy who's a top 5. People always have flirted with the concept of him being a top 5 quarterback. I've never agreed with that. Never has proven enough to be in a top 5 conversation. He's never held accountable for his failures as much as his success, right? He's the guy who you give him the benefit of the doubt always. And you know who we give benefit of the doubt to? Not great quarterbacks. Quarterbacks that we don't have big expectations for. Quarterbacks such as Jared Goff. I would put Justin Herbert in the same conversation as Jared Goff. They can really run a system. If you give them excellent quality on offense, they can kill a system. If you give them quality on offense, they can put up career high numbers, excellent overall years. But when we talk about them being that franchise guy, can they truly be that franchise guy? It's always a question about these guys. And this year, they've wanted him to take that huge step up to make up for that lost contract in Keenan Allen and Mike Williams, to make up for that lost talent overall. And they paid him big money, man. Let's not get it messed up. He's up over $250 million, 5 years type of guy. Like, he's getting paid big money. And he hasn't been able to put up the numbers and the expectations that's come from it. And this year, he's fallen short of expectation. He's not taking a step up this year. You know, we're looking back at his offensive coordinator not being good enough. We're looking back at his receiving core not being good enough. And I look at him not being good enough. I have to look at the guys around you to make up for your lack of skill, to make up for your lack of one of the most important things that come in terms of an elite quarterback, transcendence. Being able to step up for when your teammates aren't playing good, being able to always have a solution for when your team isn't playing good, especially for your receiving core that is young and struggling. He hasn't been that guy. He's looked just as bad as them. He's as dependent on his receivers as they are of him, and it speaks volumes to the type of quarterback he is. Furthermore, before he even put in work or won playoff games or pushed far to the playoffs, what has he done to put himself in this conversation outside of look good a couple of games? Like, I don't understand why we threw him into this type of conversation. I know people like the look of him. They like the way he throws the ball, the way he passes the ball, what he could be. It's always the dream of, oh man, this guy could be something great. He could be one of the face of the league. He's not that guy, man. He's not Joe Burrow. He's definitely, I'm not even going to include him in the top 3 conversation. He should never be close to the top 3 conversation, but people fall in love with the look of him rather than what he truly is. He is a decent quarterback who needs his offensive line, who needs his receivers, who needs his tight end to play at a high level for him to be performing at that level too. He's not the guy who you can look at and depend on to consistently stay at a certain standard. When you pay a guy $250 million, you hope that he can be a pillar in your offense, that no matter what, those guys around him not just can believe in him, right? But he can bring in a certain quality consistently to this offense. And he's not been able to do that, man. This has not been a good year. Yes, you can look at those 3 interceptions and say, you know, he's played a clean year. He hasn't put the ball in harm's way. Yes, but when it came to the playoffs, 4 interceptions, putting the ball in harm's way, they forced them to throw the football like they're supposed to. You want to make a team like the Chargers have to throw the football. That is the game plan always. Most teams, you want to take away the run, destroy the run, not allow the team, yes, to control the clock, right? But you want to make sure a team like the Chargers, who have been hiding this quarterback the entirety of this year, you want to make sure, because of this poor receiving core, poor play calling, and most importantly, poor quarterback play, you want to expose that and put pressure on him, get hits on him, rattle him, and see if he's either going to step up and transcend, or is he going to break down and fall? And that's what we saw last weekend against the Texans. He fell down. He broke down. He was not able to deal with the pressure and the expectations that the playoffs and the fans carried for him. This guy, man, that game right there showed you what he is. I hope people can look at that game and say, this is what he is. And the front office can look at him and say, this is what he is. Look, we need to build a good offense around him. He's not the type of guy who could carry an offense. If the offense isn't clicking, if the offensive line is not dominating at the line of scrimmage or not playing very good, he's never going to be the difference maker. He's not going to be the reason why you win. He's a part of the reason why you win. And that top 6 to 7 discussion is a quarterback being the reason why a team wins, not a part of the reason why, not dependent on other players to make elite plays. No, you need to make those plays. You need to run to get us a first down. You need to just find a way. I remember watching last week's game, and if you remember 3rd and 16, I think, CJ Stroud running to the right-hand side. getting pressured by 3 guys, throwing the ball to the middle, crossbody throw, hitting a guy and getting that first down. Critical situations like that. You don't expect stuff like this from Justin Herbert. You don't expect him to make these type of plays, and there's nothing wrong with it. I want people to understand there is nothing wrong with Justin Herbert not making these type of plays. He's just not ready for it. He hasn't shown us that he's ready for it. He's shown us glimpses of greatness, no different than I'll say Bryce Young has shown us glimpses of greatness this year. Questionable in big games. All your elite players are there. You're playing lights out. The moment your elite players go down, get injured, or aren't there, you're taking a step down in production, which is natural. But the elite players take that step up. We need to differentiate the decent quarterbacks, the 5 through the 6 or 7 through 15, and the top 5, 6, 7. Right now, we're not in the best quarterback situation, as I consistently say, because I can only really know 4 elite quarterbacks, lights out quarterbacks, and the rest of them are just, you hope they play good. They're not as consistent as they're supposed to be, but we can just give it to the defenses and say the defenses are playing lights out. Excellent cornerback playing in the NFL, even though defenses are being penalized a lot. But that's all I had to say for this video. Thank you so much for watching this video. Subscribe. Take care. Peace.